welcome to another edition of Local Focus. I'm your host, Sebastian Noel. We're back in our comfortable downtown Albuquerque studios after our road trip to Clovis, and of course the big news today is we're back in the yellow. I feel like 25% of my rights and liberties have been restored. I can tell you how relieved I am. We're going to go back to basketball, and before I bring my guest in, I want to kind of give a little something in terms of introduction. Tell you how I got to kind of, because the name might not be familiar to some of our Albuquerque crowd. So let me tell you how I learned about our guest. So very close friends with Gary Boatman, the head coach at Banal, the Panthers. And so, you know, I tried to catch one or two of his games all the time. And their big rivalry at the time was with Magdalena. So he says, you know, you got to come out to this Magdalena game. So I do, you know, and, you know, we watch the game. They're usually pretty competitive, sometimes not so much. We'll get into that. And there's this guard out there that really caught my eye. I'm like, this kid can ball. And I know it sounds like an Albuquerque bias, but the way I always compare things is like, yeah, I think this kid could maybe hold his own in the city, right? Playing in the city every day. That district that's in the city with all the good city teams. So, you know, you fast forward a little bit, get to the playoffs. There he is, still balling out. And I always kind of kept a close eye on Kyle Julian after that. Kyle, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Magdalena guard, and a very good one. I mean, what did you lose, like, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? You lost 9 games your whole high school career? That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So talk about that just constant winning.
Honestly, like, I've only lost one home game ever in my whole life. And so, like, it was just always, like, all of us putting in so much work. Like, we just craved winning. Like, that's all we – and, like, once we had our losses or whatever, but, like, it really hit us because, like, we weren't used to it, you know what I mean? So, like, we really took, like, every loss, like, serious. And so, like, we just kept putting in that work. And, I mean, Magdalena program has always been like a winning team, and we've always made it to the finals and everything. So
let's start there with the Magdalena program and get into the topic of kind of sports in a small town like that. So you said that it's a successful program. When it's a successful program like that, and you grow up in such a small community, is the expectation that much greater? Is the burden that much greater? Are you almost expecting to step into that role and continue that?
Yeah. Like you said, being in a small town, like, you don't have nothing out there. Like, you don't have, like, you can't just go, oh, let's go to the mall. You know what I mean? So you're constantly, like, playing basketball.
Right.
That's all you're doing. So, like I said, like you don't have that much out there. So you know you're doing these things.
What could I find in Magdalena? Could I find a Dairy Queen?
Nope.
McDonald's?
Nope.
Taco Bell?
Nope. There's nothing. There's 2 gas stations. Two gas stations, a Family Dollar, and 2 restaurants. That's it.
Okay, but I bet you that the party at the Family Dollar, that gets crazy. But we won't get into that. But so, yeah, okay, so pick up there. I mean, so all you have is kind of each other.
Each other, yeah.
And sports.
And sports.
And is that why we see a lot of dynasties in New Mexico tend to come out of those small towns? One. And is that why those small town teams tend to have such good chemistry?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I mean, just look at in 2015, Dre Montoya, he still holds the state record for most threes. I mean, like I said, we're always together, so we're always putting in the work in the gym. I mean, because like I said, we have nothing else to do.
Right. Well, let's backtrack a little bit then to your childhood. You were born and raised in Magdalena?
Yep, born and raised.
So when's the first basketball, when's the first baseball, when's the first football in your hand at that point?
Right away, 3, 4 years old. Like I said, as soon as I touched the basketball, I was like, you know, I loved it, and enjoyed playing it.
What else about growing up in such a small town? Like, I mean, it's hard for someone that's always lived in a big city. It's hard to imagine, but I mean, kind of what else can you highlight there? Are there drawbacks? What are the drawbacks?
You have to drive an hour to go get groceries. You have to drive an hour to go shop.
You have to drive hours to be on a dopey program, like
There's a lot of setbacks, but then again, there's a lot of good things that come out of it. You're not dealing with traffic 24/7. Right. You can do whatever you want. You're in the mountains out there. It's nice though. I like it.
So does that help you stay more focused on sports? I mean, do you think that's pretty accurate for you and your teammates?
It eliminates all the distractions. Honestly, for me, I was always just focused on getting my schoolwork done, getting up shots at nighttime and getting prepared for the next game. And I didn't have to like focus about like friends wanting to go hang out and stuff like that or go to the movies. So I was always focused on.
Now, let's talk a little bit about COVID. What's COVID like in a small town like that? Are there some differences once this pandemic hit?
Yeah, there's honestly a lot of differences because
what are they?
like I mean out here, like there's so many people out here, but
Right.
like once you're in like a small community like that, like kind of everybody came together, honestly. But like I said, it's probably just population and stuff, of course.
Right.
But other than that, it's pretty much about it.
Well, I do want to delve into some basketball. So, but before we get to your time at Magdalena, I mean, when did it start to get more than just fun and hey, there's nothing else to do around here? And when did it become real serious? Like when did the bug bite you?
It seventh grade year when they won the state championship and went undefeated.
Right.
I was actually the manager. Me and Jackson Maribal and Jordan Maribal, the two younger ones, we were the managers, and just being with them throughout all the games and all the ups and downs and the experiences, and sitting courtside at the pit and watching them win it. We're like, yeah, we want one. Like we want to be
Right.
here. So like from there. Of course, Jarrell was only a sophomore at the time, and Jarrell's another person that I kind of always watched because he was our point guard at the time, and I was just a wing or whatever shooting guard, and so I really looked up to him and like followed his role and did the things that he did and always asking for advice and just stuff like that. But other than that, that's pretty much about it.
So I mean the narrative really is true. When you grow up in those small towns, you see it from a young age.
Yeah.
You're already there. You're practically picking out your number in your mind,
Yeah.
right? Like all
Yeah.
those things really
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Our coach always told us, he never kicks anybody out of the gym, and it's true. So like, even when varsity was practicing, I was still we were in there practicing with him because he didn't care. If we were in the gym, doing the right thing, right drills, and he didn't care. So we were always in there.
So you're a steer long before you got to Magdalena. You're already ingrained in the program, you could say, right?
Yeah, yep. I had an
Okay.
older brother that was on the 2015 state championship team.
Okay. So what were some things that he told you?
Just pretty much the same things like that coach have always told us, and because he was the point guard too, and he's the one that hit that 4-point play at the end to go to overtime. And so like growing up, I always of course that's my big brother, so I always followed his footsteps and just wanted to be just like him. And so I was always watching his moves and his crossovers and everything to add on to my game. So I really looked up to him a lot, honestly.
We'll pick that up on the other side of this break. We're with Kyle Julian of the Magdalena Steers.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Back with Kyle Julian, we were talking about, well, where we picked up, or where we left off, where you were talking about your older brother. So when did you start beating your older brother at one-on-one? When was the first time you ever beat pro?
I probably honestly have to say after I graduated.
Oh, really? So, okay.
Yeah.
When is the first time your brother ever, like, said, okay, man, you're pretty good? Like, when did he start giving you your props?
Sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's a sophomore year where you guys went 28-2, right?
Yep.
So you were averaging 12.6 a game. Let's go into that season then. I mean, that's not a lot of 28-2 seasons. So first of all, how was that year different than your freshman year? Was your freshman year your typical kind of freshman year, where you're just feeling your way?
Yeah.
Would you say you arrived at your comfort level by your sophomore year?
Yeah. Freshman year, I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet, so I was real tiny, real like weak, and so like going in my sophomore year, I really hit the weight room a lot, got up a lot of shots because that was when Jarrell and Richie Chavez were seniors. So I knew that the other teams had their focus on them, and so whenever they would drive and stuff, I'd have to be able to knock that shot down in the corner. So I would always working on my game after practices, getting up shots every night. So that's pretty much about it.
Now, that was a year you guys lost to Manal in the playoffs, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah.
And that was a year where your guys' rivalry kind of got pretty serious, right?
Oh, yeah, it was real serious.
Was that the game where there was some fighting and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
I thought so.
Yep.
All right, so tell us about that rivalry and how contentious that got.
It was, honestly, it was always like, there was always beef. There was always so much tension.
Right.
And
All right, I'm going to ask you, since you told me during the commercial I could ask you any question, you're going to regret that now, my friend. I'm going to ask you the question that I've been dying to ask you, okay?
All right.
Is it true that some of you guys may have learned some Chinese cuss words to tell Michael during that season?
Yep, that's true.
Okay, now we know it's on the record. Okay, so
true.
that kind of talks about how serious that rivalry is.
Yeah,
Go ahead, pick it
yeah.
up where you were selling, and then now the truth is on the record. You didn't think I knew about that, did you?
Yeah, no, that's true. But no, like just the atmosphere when we'd go to Manal, or the atmosphere like at home, like it was just always. Those are the type of games you get a highlighter and you're all right. Highlight this game, and they were in our district too, so we played them like so many times.
Well, and that's what makes rivalries worse, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
more contentious, is that you guys see each other so much.
Yep, and just like I said, just the atmosphere and just the tension between the two teams, always wanting to beat each other, and I think it was a great rivalry, but I think there was just it was tough.
Yeah, I called that game at the end of that season. That was at the Star Center, right? The last
Yep,
game. Yeah,
Star Center.
Yeah, that one got a little chippy.
Oh,
that looked like a '90s Knicks Heat game to
Yep.
me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, those are also games where you kind of always stood out because you kind of always kept your cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you guys all had that swagger and
Yeah.
everything, but you always kind of kept your cool, especially on the floor basketball-wise. So what was always going through your mind where you were always able to stay in control on the floor?
There was a few times where I slipped up and got a technical or whatever, but
Well, in that game,
it's
everyone
usually-
got one,
yeah,
so it doesn't
happens.
count.
But honestly, like over the years, I've just trained my mind to be like mentally prepared through any situation. Because I mean, if you don't have your mind in the right spot, then everything's just gonna go bad for you, honestly. So I just try to be positive in all those situations, honestly.
So where do you think that rivalry that year kind of took a turn to get so contentious? What were the dynamics of that rivalry? Was it your classic small town guys versus, okay, that's the one school in your district that's in Albuquerque, right?
Yeah.
They got this big bad import guy, right, from
Yeah.
China. I mean, what made those games so compelling?
Honestly, I think we were just always like, oh, they got a new guy from Spain. Like, well, I wonder what he's like, you
Right.
know. And I think, like how you said, like, oh, they got a 6'10" guy, Michael. And so I think it was just always like about, oh, they got a new guy, this guy, we're like, oh, we can take him, we can take him still and stuff. I think that's pretty much about it, though, honestly.
One thing that also always stood out, that always impressed me with you, was you always were able to kind of shine and really play your role well, and you always had a coach's son on the team. And that's not always easy, because when you have a coach's son on the team, especially kids as talented as the Maribel boys,
Yeah.
right? They're going to get a lot of shots, and they did, but you seem to always fit into your role each year. I mean, whether you're shooting more threes one year versus another, but it seemed like you always excelled playing with a very high volume shooter and a coach's kid. Was that difficult at times?
Honestly, it was a blessing to be able to play with, Jarrell at first. Like you said, with Jarrell, he was our point guard, the leader of the team. And so that year, like I said earlier, I was ready to, to hit that shot down. And then once he left, I stepped in, behind his role. And so I was always trying to get, the younger brother, Jordan and Jackson, those open shots, how, Jarrell got me those open shots. And so, like I said, it's honestly is a real blessing to be able to play with those, three guys, that are phenomenally just incredible athletes, shooters, and
Didn't one of them write a book or something?
Yeah, the oldest one.
Yeah.
He's on his mission right now, and he wrote a book, and I'm sure he's wrote so many out there right now.
So we go forward to your junior year now. That's statistically your highest output offensively was during your junior year, but still you guys had a really, really good team again. Like I said, what's the mindset now in year to year? Obviously, the goal. It sounds like the goal is always the same at Magdalena, and that's to win a state title, right?
Yeah.
So take us through your junior year.
My junior year, it was just. Obviously the sophomore year, we lost four seniors, and so like everybody was like, "Oh, Mag's not going to be that good this year, this and that," and just.
It did seem like you guys, no matter which year it was, you always play with a chip on your shoulder.
Oh,
whether
yeah,
you created it for
sure.
yourselves or someone else did.
For sure, yeah. Like I said, my junior year, a lot of people just all over the state were, like I said, no, Mag's not going to be that good this year. They lost two of the best players in the state. And so, like, I kind of use that to my motivation and stuff. I'm like, nah, like, they're not going to just talk about us like that. And so, like in the off season, like I said, going to my junior year, I just, all of us were at every summer camp, every summer tournament, everything that we could be, team bonding, everything. And so, like, I really felt that year, and we made it, and we lost it. We ended up losing to Pecos in the quarterfinals, and we were up on them at halftime.
25-24 lead at half. You led the team in scoring that game. What were they able to do adjustment-wise in the second half to win that game?
Honestly, they they used him really well,
right.
And he got hot. Little Anthony got hot too. So,
would it be fair to say that your junior year is kind of when no one was in the dark anymore about who Kyle Julian? At that point, even people in Albuquerque were like, you were on the radar at that point. Would that be fair to say? Do you think?
I'd probably say junior year, yeah.
So, take us through that. What's that like now? You play so far away, but, you even got some guys in town here talking about you, other players I'm talking about. It doesn't matter what I'm saying. I'm dope. But when other players start talking about you, even guys that are playing in town here that are 5A guys, and they know about you and your game, and you start to get props from your peers, that's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, honestly, it's just, like I said, it's a blessing, be able to get, credit from these big schools up here and stuff. But like I said, I've always wished to play. I don't regret not playing or playing for Magdalena, but like, it's just nice because like these atmospheres up here,
right.
Like the rivals, the Cleveland, the Rio Ranchos, it's crazy. The atmosphere is just unbelievable.
Your senior year now, you guys are going for a perfect record. Add to that, you have a regular season matchup with Pecos on the schedule that got snowed out twice, I believe, right? So everyone's already talking about it the whole year. There's you guys chasing perfection, and then there's the dynasty, Pecos, right? How bummed out were you as a competitor that it got snowed out twice?
I was so hurt, and it was crazy because I had the flu the night before we were gonna play them, and so I'm like, I'm dying over here, fevers, everything, and I'm like, I can't sit out tomorrow. I have to play this game, no matter what. And then we go to school, and there's too much snow. It got canceled. So like, all right, we'll reschedule it again. Then the second date comes, oh, it's canceled, snow again. We're like, I guess.
But as the season went along, was there part of you that's like, all right, save this for the championship? That'll be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Did that start to creep in your mind?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you said earlier, everybody in the whole state was gonna go to that game.
I was even going to drive to that
Oh,
game.
so many people were already there waiting for
Right.
for them to sell tickets, but
We have some highlights of that game, some early first half highlights that featured you a lot. Our director, Josh, will throw that up there as it's playing. Why don't you talk us through this?
yep, corners 3
I mean, you guys had a pretty,
and 1.
with only coming to the team that year,
Yep.
that was a whole nother dimension. I mean, this was the dream matchup of the tournament that everyone wanted to see.
Yep.
And
See? It's so nice being able to kick to the corner and have your brother knock it down. Quick release.
and kind of like the year before, you guys it was tight, right? And they just
Yeah.
ran away in one quarter. What did they do coming out of half in the third quarter, where they got you 24-10 in that third?
I think Anthony shot 80%.
Yeah,
from the
they
three-point.
didn't miss much.
Yeah,
Did
in the second half.
they? Yeah.
And I was guarding him up, and I mean, there's not a lot you can do when
Right.
the dude's hitting from the lobo. So
Right, all right. All right, we're going to take our last time out here, and then I want to switch focus a little bit because I know you're a very well-rounded young individual, so I want to talk some politics and current affairs when we get back.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the
Back with Kyle Julian. Let's close up the basketball piece first. Obviously, your journey now has taken you to northern New Mexico, but it's a waiting game, isn't it, right now?
yeah, waiting. We're supposed to go back July 1st. Just now working and going to school online and still putting in that work. That's all I can do right now to stay ready.
Right. Something that caught my eye during the political season was your active voice in politics, which is always cool to see from a young man that is so interested and so active and so outspoken about his beliefs. And so I wanted to get into that a little bit. I would imagine, though, being a young guy in the state of New Mexico and being such an outspoken conservative like yourself, you probably got a lot of flack and pushback for that, right?
Yeah. Honestly, like if I'm being honest with you, like I got a lot of hate towards it.
Right.
For believing in what I believe in, and if I didn't agree with that person, then I was the bad guy.
Well, it's always the same thing, right? If you're a Republican, you're a racist, you're a
Yeah.
bigot, you don't like poor people.
Yeah.
So you give us an example of some of that. Because I remember just seeing some of the things you were posting, and I was like, man, that takes some balls.
Yeah.
Especially for a young guy.
Yeah.
Conservatism right now is under attack anyway, but from a young guy to be so outspokenly conservative, tell me about some of the backlash.
Like I said, like when I went to a few of the Trump rallies, I posted on like my social media or my Snapchat, Instagram, and like people would like block me for supporting that or unfriend me or whatever. But like, which it didn't matter to me. They got to do what they got to do. But that's probably just like a prime example right there. Just like I said, just a lot of hate. The thing I don't get is like I have so many friends that don't believe in what I believe in, and I still love them. They're still my brother. They're still my friend. I'm not gonna be like, oh well, you're dumb for believing in that. Like, of course, like you have your opinion and I have my opinion. We're all human. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of the place we need to get to, right? Where
Honestly.
we can be in the same room and respect
Yep,
our differences, right?
Yep.
But I think what this political election and what this political climate has showed us is that there's not really a lot of tolerance in the room right now. And obviously, as our viewers can tell, we kind of come from the same political side of the spectrum. But it does appear that, conservatism is under attack right now. I mean, you turn on the news every night, and like, I'm fully convinced that the next 4 years they're going to just try to put Trump in jail and his family.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think there's going to be much governing going on.
No.
I mean, but you're also very, very proud and very open with your faith, right? That's
Yeah.
very
Oh,
important
yeah,
in your
for
life.
sure.
So talk about that.
Like I said, like without God, I'm nothing. Like, and so, like, honestly, like if you look at everything going on in the world right now, and like people are reading their Bibles and stuff, and like the timelines and what God said that's gonna happen, like all that stuff that God said that's gonna happen, like all of that, like some of those things are happening right now. So like I know like this, I don't know, people may believe me or not, but like I feel like God's coming back soon, and like I know like I'm trying to like tell everybody about God, and stuff like that. But like honestly, like I just try to put like my faith out there, so like you never know who it's gonna help one day, or if someone's having a bad day, or that prayer really helped me today, it really got me through my day. And so like you never know who's watching you, honestly. So I just try to do put my faith out there and just help whoever I can, honestly.
Right. Back to the political side for a moment. You probably grew up in a pretty conservative area, I would imagine. So, with a lot of people around you that share those views. Now, I mean, part of maturing and part of becoming a young man, now you're off to college, and that's kind of where people's political ideas get tested the most, right?
Yeah.
Because now you're not in your inner circle anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a spectrum of ideas,
Yeah.
right? Are you looking forward to that?
That was a big challenge for me. I was talking to my dad about it actually, and cause like I know like up north, like they have obviously like it's more democratic and stuff up there, but coming from like the South, I was just worried about if I'm gonna get more hate, or if I wear my Republican attire or whatever, my clothing, like people eat stuff like that. So
Right,
like,
right,
I
right.
was just worried about that. But then, well, I don't know. Like I'm fine. Like I know God.
But that's something that's going on campuses across the country right
Oh,
now,
yeah,
right?
for
Like,
sure.
college Republicans, the size is shrinking, right?
for sure.
They're afraid to even announce that they're a Republican in college, right? So, I mean, how are you going to combat that? I mean, you don't seem like the kind of guy that's going to just back down. I would imagine you would join
for
that
sure.
kind of group, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just do what I got to do, and if people hate, then people hate. There's not much
What
I
are
can
you?
do.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you planning on studying there at Northern?
I'm going for business administration and management.
All right. Well, I'm really glad you made the trip. For those of our audience that doesn't know, Kyle drove over an hour to appear on the show today, and I've been wanting to have him on for a couple of years now. Really impressed with this young man's game, and we're going to definitely be looking out as soon as Eagles basketball starts there in Northern
Yes,
New
sir.
Mexico. Good luck.
Hey, thanks
Thanks
you.
for making the
Appreciate
trip again, and thank you for watching, and good night, everybody.